good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan from moviebarf.com, and it's a great pleasure to be here on Mezipatra Live today, very exciting, with director Leonie Krippendorff. Leonie is a German film director and also a Berlinale talent who broke through with her graduation film Looping. She's also been named one of 10 European directors to watch in 2020 by Variety, and has now found international success with her debut feature film Cocoon, which actually had its world premiere at the Berlinale Film Festival this year, and we're also very, very excited to have the film at our Mezipatra Film Festival this year too. Cocoon will also soon be in Czech cinemas nationally through film distributor Queer Kino as well. Let's check out the trailer.
Jule, bist du glücklich, wenn er ihn in deine Hand nimmt?
Klar.
Und was willst du dann noch von David?
Ist doch was ganz anderes. Ich schwöre, wenn noch mal eins von deinen Viechern abhaut, dann kill ich die.
Auf die Plätze! Fertig! Los!
Ich finde andere Mädchen manchmal so schön. Ich finde es auch schön, wenn ich den Körper von einem anderen Mädchen spüre.
Du bist 14, Nora. Da hat man so viele unterschiedliche Gefühle.
Besetzt! Mach mal auf. Gib mal deine Hose. Ich wasch die aus.
Wer ist denn das?
Das ist die Neue aus der Nachbarsklasse. Die heißt Romi oder so.
Als ich vorhin geschwommen bin, da habe ich was im Wasser gesehen. Es sah wunderschön aus, ganz so vollgepumpt mit Licht und Wasser. Und als ich es dann hochgeholt habe, da war es nur eine einfache Plastiktüte. Stell dir mal vor, so ist es mit einem schön. Es ist da und dann ist es einfach wieder weg. Glaube ich nicht.
She looked out to the horizon. She didn't have much left to see. Said, I wanna go to Mars.
Welcome back. Now, just a friendly reminder to those who are watching, the industry program here at Mezipatra is entirely in English, but in saying that, if you do have a question, either in English or in Czech, feel free to write it in the comments section and we'll try to get to it as best we can. So, I'd like to welcome Leonie. Thank you so much for coming to the 21st Mezipatra Film Festival. We're overwhelmed with joy to have you here. It's a shame that we couldn't have you here in person, but at the same time, I'm very happy to see your face here.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy. Yeah, I'd love to be there in person. That I would prefer that, of course. But as we know, it's not possible in the moment. So, yeah.
Hopefully soon. So, let's begin. So, the coming-of-age genre, especially in LGBTQ plus films, is usually teeming with I want to say sort of heartbreaking stories, and there's a lot of struggle about coming out, etc., for queer people. And why do you think it's important to show a different side of this? Because obviously in Cocoon, you show a bit of struggle. Obviously, I don't want to give too much away, but it's quite positive too. So why do you think it's important to have a positive coming-of-age film?
Well, I mean, Berlin is a quite open city. I think, like, coming out there, of course, there will be a lot of discrimination. And I don't want to say that there's no discrimination in Berlin. Sadly, there is still. But in general, I would say also there is a lot of support. And sometimes also there's support from people where you don't really expect it. And in Cocoon I wanted to concentrate on more like the love story between the two girls than on the reactions from the outside on that love story, because I think that's coming out and having like all the struggles with that. This is one big topic, but the other topic is also that it's also very like hard and also beautiful to have just your first love, and it doesn't really make a difference if it's straight or queer. It will be heartbreaking, maybe. Mostly it is with the first love. And that's what I have been concentrating. And I think I also wanted to encourage young girls to live the love they want to live. And and to have like, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's a positive example, because it is a heartbreaking story. Like it's not a happy ending for the love story, but it's a story of growth and a character who's developing very much through just one summer. And that was important to me to show the strength behind that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you did an incredible job. And I think it felt very genuine to me. And I think you really captured that first love very, very well, and it almost brought a tear to my eye. It was very emotional at times. But I have to ask you, where did your inspiration come from for this story? Is this something that perhaps happened to you in real life?
I mean, I'm pretty close to the script in like fact of like I'm living pretty close to the place where it's shot, and the world, like it's a very special world there. It's a place in Berlin called Cottbusser, which is a pretty special place because there's like, it's a very multicultural place, very vibrant, also high crime scene. It's known in Berlin as a place where people rather don't go, like some people, because you get robbed pretty easily and stuff. But also it's so alive and so beautiful, and there's like also a big queer scene, and so everybody's kind of living together there, and I found that very beautiful. So that's like one thing that was really coming from my life also, that I grew up pretty close and am spending much time in this place. And then like, I think the thing that was most important to me, and also that was the point where the script started, was like, I wanted to make a coming of age film which is very close to the body, because I felt like topics like getting your period and like the whole development of your body from girl to woman, it can be devastating, and it was like pretty hard for me. I'm still carrying around a lot of complexes from that time with myself now, and I wanted to show it a bit more realistic than I have seen it before. So I gave that very much space, and also that was the first scene that I developed when like the two girls, like one, like Nora, the main protagonist, she gets her period in school, and then Romy comes, the girl she's going to fall in love with, and washes out the blood on the toilet in the school, and she has no fear of touching the blood. And that was actually the scene I started with, and from that point on, I just developed the characters and the story.
I see. And as I said before, these characters were very genuine, and to me they felt genuine too, but obviously I am not that young. I am not that age. So how have younger generations, especially younger girls, reacted to this film?
I didn't have too many reactions on young people, because we had our premiere in Generation Berlinale 14 plus, and I was very excited because I thought I'd gonna see now this young crowd there, but it wasn't like that. Like most of the people who have been there at Berlinale have been like
old,
my adults, old, and so I think like there are some school programs coming up where I might have the chance to have more reactions from people in the age of the protagonist. And I'm very looking forward to that. I had some reactions on social media, like people writing me young people writing me that they've been seeing the film several times and that it meant very much to them. And this is like obviously what makes me most proud, because I think like it's one thing to look back and be nostalgic about feelings that maybe I had and maybe other people had, but like having someone being in that situations and feeling understood in the film I made, that would be like, that's great for me. Like, so yeah.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see that it's inspiring younger generations, as well as going back to that nostalgia for you, as well as you mentioned. And the way that you portray the relationships in the film between girls and women, I think is, whether it be through friends, acquaintances, or lovers, mother and daughter, I just thought that was wonderful, because it was so, every relationship was so nuanced, that I didn't find anything that was particularly predictable or stereotypical there. There were all of these little things going on in between every relationship. So how did you do this? how did you, are these inspired by real people as well, some of these characters, or?
I wouldn't go that far. I think, I'm writing very much out of my stomach. It's not that I'm thinking about like a theme and I'm thinking, oh, that would be an interesting theme to make a film about. It's more that there's something that I find like touching and that I carry around with myself, like that scene that I just described. And then I would write it down, and then like if I develop the characters, they kind of start to just walk on their own. And that happened very much with Cocoon. I think, like, of course there are so many like personal experience and feelings that I had somewhere inside the script, but that doesn't mean that I had an example for every character. Actually, I know no character in real life that I have been writing for Cocoon. But I think I just try to really trust my feelings, like if somebody really would act that way, if it's a real person or not. Sometimes you see actions in figures and you just don't believe it, and it's just to, like have the plot going in a certain direction. And I don't really have a plot in my film, so I don't have that problem. My figures don't have to go a certain way. They can go wherever they want to go.
Okay, that's interesting. So for all of the filmmakers watching today, the key is no plot. No plot. We'll give you amazing characters. And just building a little bit on that, I noticed that there seemed to be very good chemistry between your characters as well. And it has this fantastic summer vibe, which I want to talk about later as well. But how did you create this chemistry, this on-screen chemistry? What was it like? Give us a little bit of insight into your directorial process with this cast.
I really like to rehearsal a lot, and I like to work very close with the actors. And I think if you are really finding the characters with the actors, then there is it's kind of natural how they act with each other and how the relationship between them is, because if they really know their character and they meet another character which is like in a certain way the same or different or whatever, then like the chemistry is kind of natural. And like what I also have been doing, for example, with the two sisters, is that we've been like, I asked them to bring childhood photos so they could see how they looked as childs, and we would go through like their whole life story more or less and talk about how they've been as children, so that they really thought that they would know each other since their whole life. And I think that was like, pretty important to me to have like all this background behind the actual stories, and also like because as many young filmmakers, we had like really little money to make that film, so we always have been in time pressure, and it's so good if if you just have like 2 or 3 takes, and you have a limit of like half an hour and that's it, and like it's so good if the actors then actually really know what they do, and that must you must have worked on that before, because if not, then you're lost, I guess, or I would be. Yeah.
I see. So a lot of it is really about maybe having deadlines and really planning things in advance to be able to get this kind of...
And having like the possibility to develop real relationship to the characters. Like, for example, like Lena Otzendowski, who played Nora, she really had it was fascinating for me to watch. I think she's so talented. She really had like another, like her whole body had another tension when she was performing the role of Nora. So like you could hear me, like in the material, you could hear me say bitte, which is like action, and her whole tension would like totally change, and that's something that we've been working on together for a long time before shooting.
That's wonderful. And sorry, did you, just going off topic a little bit, did you just say that bitte is action in German?
It's like please.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's really surprising to me. I did not know that. I just assumed, stupidly assumed, that it was action in most places, but it's bitte, okay, so it's like saying please.
I mean, I think there are directors saying action too, but that doesn't really fit to my way of directing.
Oh, that's super eye-opening for me. Anyway, going back to the more interesting stuff about film. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the issues touched upon in your film. There's quite a bit of drinking involved in this film, but also in looping as well. So I've noticed that this kind of alcoholic addiction is something that comes up often. So is there a reason why you had this in here? Is this an issue that you feel strongly about?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think I don't... many things I do are not in my attention, like, oh no, how do you say, are not that I'm not thinking about it. It's like part of the story, because probably I've been, it was a topic I have been thinking about in my life, and probably, yes, I'm thinking about like, all the wild times that I had or have, and that mean also like having a lot of like stepping out of like of a norm, and having a lot of feelings about freedom and stuff, and that's also very much what my films and the characters are dealing with. That also means that you could like cross a line being an alcoholic, and I think that's like, I'm thinking about that topic when actually is that point when you cross the line, when does alcohol or drugs not free your mind but limit it, like, so when's that point? And because so many people miss that point, and I think that might be something I was just thinking about, and probably that's why it transformed to the script.
I see. And at the moment, we're seeing kind of a surge of women filmmakers, and a lot more of these coming-of-age stories for women as well. Obviously, still not enough, but at least there is some more happening now. But in your opinion, what's missing from modern films about teenage girls or young women? And which kind of films do it right, do you think?
I can't really say what's missing. I mean, I already talked about that I personally missed, I missed a film that is telling really about because the body is such an important topic when you're young, because you are you all of a sudden have this body of a woman, and you are new in it, and you're new with topics of how do I feel with it, how do I show it, what is the reaction that I get and stuff. So that's something that I personally find very interesting, and that I maybe missed in films about young people. But I also think that there's happening a lot in the moment, and for example, there's this teenage series Scam, it's called. It's a Norwegian teenage series, and it's so beautiful because it's nothing is really happening. It's just just telling about a clique in school, a group of friends, and they just have total normal problems, and it's always told out of different perspectives, and they're just basically spending time looking at each other, and there's happening so much. And this had a huge response from young people all over the world, and it's really made a art house film, and there's nothing like a plot or something, and and I thought that I found that so beautiful, because I thought that young people especially want to be reflected and seen in film, and they feel if something is truthful or not. And and I think there's happening a lot in the moment.
I see. And do you think you would ever make a series on that topic?
Yeah, why not? I don't really, I love cinema. I totally love cinema, but I also, as long as I'm not, I'm not having too many boundaries how I can develop my creativity and make my films in my own way. I don't really care if it's. I do care because I love cinema the most, of course. But I wouldn't mind to also do something which is not being released in the cinema, but as long as it's same truthful to me, I'd be very, very happy to create something like a series. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe in the future. And I was talking about the way that you capture summer before in your film, and I thought that was remarkable. And I really felt it. I felt the warmth, I felt the heat, and I know that some of that was probably to do with the cinematography, but also the soundtrack too. I thought the soundtrack was fantastic in that sense. And what I wanted to ask was, I think this is, what do you think makes the perfect summer film, in your opinion?
I think I can't answer this question. I think what we did was it was also because we had this incredibly hot shoot, and we really had over 40 degrees most of the time.
Wow.
Inside the houses, because we've been so many people in small rooms, and it was incredibly hot outside and then inside. And I just saw all the eyes that have been so tired from this constant heat. And I thought that's actually because it made us a lot of problems during shoot, but actually for the film I thought it would be perfect, because if it's so hot you feel your body all the time, because it's so exhausting just to exist in that heat. And I since I wanted to have a film that is so close to the body, I felt that's very good to put that inside. And also in summer you have all this all these changes of feeling hot, but then jumping in the pool and then like drying in the sun, and like it's so much more like so much closer to the body than having like this winter time where you constantly just rubbed into your big pullover. So yeah, that was something that was intentional in Cocoon, but also it happened in the shoot very much.
I see. And what tips do you have for filmmakers that are also filming in summer or in really hot environments, really hot sets? Because you said you had a few problems there as well with the heat.
I don't know. I would have to think about that. I mean, we didn't have how do you say in English, like the machines that make a room cooler.
Okay, like air conditioning, no air conditioning.
Yeah, air conditioning. So it was sold out in whole Berlin.
Oh, no. Did you have fans at least?
No, everything was sold out.
No.
So it was like we were like completely not prepared for that. And I think, yeah, take care that there's some air conditioning. Also in countries where you don't have a lot of air conditioning, because we don't have air conditioning in Berlin. Like, yeah.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about Berlinale. What was it like being part of Berlinale Talents?
Yeah, that was great. I was taking part in the script station with the script for Cocoon, which is like an extra program where you develop your script. So I didn't have the chance to have like the like, because Berlinale Talents is so much about meeting so many people and having so many, like seeing so many panel discussions and stuff. And I didn't have time for that because we have been working on the script very intensely. And that was very nice for me because it gave me, I was writing like this local story of teenage girls. I didn't really know if someone outside of Berlin would be interested in that, because it's not, because, you know, like it's a story that you might, like if you just read the synopsis, you might think that you have seen that before sometimes. And I was interested on like an international view on that. And I figured out that it is relevant also international because I've been touching topics that are new, but I did it in a different way, I guess. And it strengthened my view on just believing like my my stomach, what I want to do, and not to think about if it's relevant international or not. And now like Cocoon is traveling so well on festivals, and I think it's very, very well received international. So yeah, I think that's very, very important to just trust your stomach, and what you want to do, and not to think about other stuff.
Always trust your instincts. That's good. And you were recently listed in Variety's 10 European talents to watch in 2020, which is amazing. So what was that like? How did you celebrate?
Yeah, that was during Berlinale, and I couldn't really celebrate because I was like, oh, cool, great, I had this award, but then I had my Q&A, so I just won for the Q&A and then to the next thing. Yeah, exciting, very, very, very nice. I don't know if it's, you know, like, I don't know if it really had an impact on the way that, you know, Cocoon is received, because I would like to think that it's the film that,
of course,
you know, is showing its quality and not some stamp that you get as a filmmaker. But I'm happy. Yeah.
That's great. And you talked about how well received Cocoon has been on the film festival circuit around the world. And you've also said in the past, I know, that you've gotten quite an emotional response from audiences at festivals, and that you feel more understood by the international community than, say, the German community. So why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was very much for looping also. I think I said that before Cocoon. I can only say that, yeah, what we already talked about, I feel like my films till now, they don't have like this interesting topic or plot or theme that everybody would, like think like, oh, that's so relevant, and nobody ever talked about that or made a film about that. And I feel like in Germany, you have pretty good chances if you do films like that. Films are like sometimes more, it's more the head that thinks about if it's interesting or not, and not really the stomach that feels it or doesn't feel it. And yeah, I don't know. But I mean, Cocoon is pretty well received in Germany too. So that's also a bit an old thing that I said about, yeah, my graduation film, Looping.
That's good. And at Mezipatra this year, we're also presenting Future 3, No Hard Feelings, which is another German film. And it seems to me that there are a lot of queer films coming out of Germany at the moment. And why do you think that is?
I have no answer for that. What I can say is that No Hard Feelings is like such a great film. And I think I'm thankful that it happened to be a queer film, because I think it's one of the best films that have been made in Germany this year. And so of course I appreciate that it's a queer film, but it's also that Faraz Shariat is like a very talented filmmaker, and it doesn't really matter if it's a queer film or not. It's a really good film. But what I saw is that maybe, I mean, for example, with Cocoon, one thing for me was that I really researched on a German film about a teenage a love between two schoolgirls, and there was none. Like, there's at least no film that has had a release in cinema about two girls in school that have been falling in love with each other in Germany. And I found that so strange, because that's not. Yes, so I think maybe there's a lot to do in queer cinema in Germany. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot to do in queer film in many countries, I suppose.
Yes.
I think a lot of countries would be in the same boat. Okay.
Yes.
And you also said recently that you haven't experienced any disadvantages just because you're a woman in the film industry as well. So would you say that the industry is changing and becoming more supportive of women?
Yeah, I would totally say that. I mean, I think I was pretty privileged, because there have been so many women fighting for my rights, that I now have like the privilege, because I already have them. I didn't really have to fight for them, I would say. So I'm very thankful about that, and I think there's very much in the move. I also think that it's very important to speak about, because this is a question that I get asked a lot, and I always, in the beginning, I didn't really know what to say, because I thought it would be a lie when I would say, oh yes, I had it pretty hard, because I didn't have it hard, or harder than I think I didn't have it harder than if I would have been a guy. I mean, of course, I worked very, very hard, but I think every young filmmaker does that. But at the same time, I know that there are so many other female filmmakers that haven't been in that privileged position that I had. And yeah, that's so it's always my perspective. It doesn't mean that there's nothing to do anymore. And it doesn't mean that like that's an old fight or something. It's that the statistics say something very different, and especially if you see like the projects that have a lot of money, because I always have been making film, just small art house films with like so little money. And I think also it's important to talk about like the characters. How do you have to be as a filmmaker? Like I had so many fears going on set because I thought I would have to be someone who I'm not, because I'm not the most natural authority leader person, and I thought I maybe have to learn that. And I think that's not true. I think you have to find the right people to work with, and you have to find your own way and your own qualities to achieve like intense results. And that doesn't really mean that you have to have like this old-fashioned director qualities of a director. Yeah.
Sure. And you mentioned working with people. Is there anyone who you would especially like to work with? Anyone who you admire in the industry, whether that be director, actor?
Oh, that's too tough now. There are too many that I could just name someone now, I think. And also, that's not really the way I'm thinking. I'm thinking more like, if I have a project and I have a certain character, I'm not writing characters for actors. It's the other way around. And so if I have like a strong character, then there will be someone I maybe always wanted to work with, but it must be that way and not the other way around.
Sure. And what stories in movies, before you mentioned that, there hadn't been a film in Germany about two young women falling in love, like in Cocoon, and what other stories in movies did you lack as a teenager when you were watching films?
What stories did I lack? I think for me it was very much about feelings that I had by that time, that I somehow found in the films that I watched. And I really enjoyed to feel understood, and much more than today, because that was such a big topic. Like I was constantly asking myself, am I right the way I am? And then seeing a film where a character maybe is going through similar feelings was very had a big value to me.
I see. And to all the filmmakers watching today, what advice would you give them about getting funded and pursuing their dream of making their first feature film?
Well, as I said, I think it's very important to tell stories that are relevant to yourself. And it doesn't really, in the first step, it really doesn't matter if it's relevant for anyone else but yourself. And mostly it is relevant for other people's, because we are kind of the same in our hearts, everyone. And yeah, just trust your feelings about your own style and about your own themes and your own atmospheres that you want to create. And yeah, well, I mean, I made so many mistakes, and I still will. I'm still so young. I still will do a lot of mistakes, but I think what I also learned is to like always try to see the essence of what you want to tell. Sometimes I got lost so much in like so many scenes that I've been writing that have been, like nice scenes, but in the end, my script was way too long, and I had to concentrate on really the scenes that made a difference in my script, and and have been like showing the essence of what I wanted to talk about, and everything else I did cut out in the end, although it have been very nice scenes. But I think this is what, like, for me personally, is very important for the next project, that I think about, do I really need that? Like, is it really something that comes out from my heart? Like, yeah.
I see. So you're saying that you kind of have to stay true to yourself, and again, it's coming back to the follow your instincts, very much to follow your instincts.
Very much. Yeah.
That's great. And you said making mistakes, a completely natural part of filmmaking. How important is it to make mistakes, would you say?
I think it's very painful and very important, yeah. And the painful comes before the important, because it's like you can struggle so much if you like make a film and you feel like you have no idea how to finish that scene in that little time or whatever. And I've been writing down everything after every project I did, and it was kind of a warning always for the next project. And now I try to once in a while go through my the things I wrote.
Your don't do this book.
Yes, my don't do this book, because I would like for sure make the same mistakes always again if I wouldn't really reflect them. So I really force myself to kind of learn to have it a bit easier in the next film.
I see. And speaking of next films, can you tell us a little bit about future projects that you've got in the pipeline?
I'm currently on this little island in South Italy. It's called Lipari, and it's a very exciting place because it's like so special nature here. And I'm writing a story which is based on that island, about an intersexual child standing shortly for puberty and having to decide for a gender, because the child didn't really grow up till now being girl or boy. And yeah, that's what I currently do.
That's wonderful. Okay. And one more question. Could you tell us a little bit about the insects that you were working with on Cocoon?
Yeah.
Because when I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, I mean, everyone says that you shouldn't film with either animals or with kids. And I thought, I mean, animals is one thing, but how do you do a scene with a butterfly like that, and with the caterpillars too? So could you tell us a little bit about the process of working with these animals?
Yeah, it was. They've always been so good for surprises, because they would always do like the opposite of what you would wish from them. Like, for example, it was like they should sit on her hand and then fly and fly away. And I thought, okay, it might be pretty hard to find like this this little moment when they're sitting on her hand, but it was the opposite. They wouldn't want to go away. Like, so they would sit for ages on Lena's hand, and it was like she was always trying to do this, but she couldn't really show it. And so we've been waiting for ages. And it was it was a surprise. Everything is real. There's no VFX in the film, and we had the problem that it was so hot that the animals died. Like, a lot of animals died. Yes, and I felt so bad about that.
That's a bit sad.
But so sad. But then I figured out, because like the breeder where we got the animals from, he had the same problem, and he was like, okay, it's just unusual hot for the animals, and you can't, it's not your fault, because we really try to take care of them pretty good.
Okay,
so
that must have been a bit of a relief to hear that it wasn't you.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. And okay, we're almost at the end, but I thought I would take some questions from people watching if there are any more questions. No, not at this point? Okay. So, is there anything else that you would like to tell us? What festivals are you going to be having your work in the near future?
You mean what festivals Cocoon is screened
Mm-hmm.
on at the moment? It's like 50 festival. I think this month it's like 20 festivals
Oh
or
my
something. So
gosh! Wow.
I can't really say it.
Mm-hmm.
I had because like most of the festivals, of course, I can't go. And we're gonna be screened in Mexico, and so they are like one of the few that actually invited. I don't know how that is possible, but they said, "Oh yeah,
Oh wow.
we'd
Mm-hmm.
like to invite you physical."
Mm-hmm.
And I was there with my first film, Looping. It's a beautiful festival. But yeah, I think I can't go in that
Yeah.
times. But yeah, so I'm a bit sad about the not being
Yeah.
able to travel when you
It's
have the
not
privilege of.
exactly. It's very much an unfortunate time, but I'm sure with your future films, you'll no doubt travel, and I'm sure, almost certain that we will have you again here at Mezipatra, and hopefully next time in person as well.
That would be so nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end. But thank you so much for joining us, Leonie, and congratulations again on the success of Cocoon. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.